The newest 7-star Tera Raid is coming to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and this video is going to help you get you ready, prepared, and ready to take down the fighting type Cinderace. Let's dive in. All right, so if you guys don't know, Cinderace is going to be our next 7-star raid. We just had Charizard last month, and Cinderace is running from 12:30 tomorrow until the 1st. So we've got a couple days to do it, but if you miss the event or you don't have enough time to prepare at this point, it's going to come back on the 13th to the 15th in January. So there will be a second wave to get it, and much like Charizard, you're going to be able to catch one of them, but you can continue to do the raids to get those candies and bonuses and things like that. Before I go too far into this, I do want to say that, like, a lot of people went into Charizard thinking it was going to be really hard. With any sort of decent preparation, you'll probably be okay. Charizard ultimately wasn't that hard once people kind of figured out, okay, like, you can really easily cheese it with just the right Pokemon, and it becomes, like, not an issue, even with all the issues that were, you know, apparent with Azumarill and how the damage was being calculated with that Pokemon. But I don't anticipate this being all that tough. Cinderace is a pretty frail Pokemon, and while it can deal a lot of damage, there's a couple things that we'll be able to do to kind of combat that and give ourselves an advantage going into this Tera Raid to ultimately come out on top and kind of score whatever rewards you're looking to get. So it is going to be Fighting type Tera, which is pretty cool, and it is a 7-star raid. A couple things to note is Cinderace is going to have a new mark called the Unrivaled mark. So you'll have Cinderace the Unrivaled. One thing to note about it is its ability could be Libero. I don't know if that's confirmed 100%, but that would be its hidden ability, and it's much like Protein, so it's going to change its typing. But in Scarlet and Violet, that ability was nerfed, so it only changes it the first attack you make before you switch out. So, like, I don't anticipate it doing a ton of type changing shenanigans, basically, is where I'm at. So it's going to start off as Fighting type. It may stay Fighting type the entire battle if it's Blaze, but if it's Libero, we might see it change its type. But once it changes it, it's only going to change it once. The thing about Cinderace is it has a pretty wide move pool, right? Like, there's a lot of things that it can do from an offensive perspective. But again, if it's not changing its stab every single time and getting those buffs, it's going to be a little underwhelming. So we're going to want to cover the fighting primarily, and we're going to want to cover the fire as well. So some of the moves that we could potentially be looking at are things like Pyro Ball, which is a really strong fire type attack, High Jump Kick, which is obviously its fighting option, so that's probably what it's going to use. Otherwise, it would probably use like Terra Blast or maybe like Low Sweep, but I think High Jump Kick makes the most sense in this context. It does have flying moves like Bounce and Acrobatics, so without an item, Acrobatics could actually hit pretty hard, so you're going to want to be mindful there, not like you were bringing any grass types anyway. A really unique move it could use is Court Change to potentially steal kind of the effects on the field, some different buffs and things like that. So kind of be mindful there. I don't anticipate that being a thing. I think we're going to see more damaging stuff though, like U-Turn to deal some damage to, again, like Psychic types that might be kind of unprepared. You've got Electro Ball as another move that you might not expect from Cinderace, but that's something we might see for those big water types. And then you've got coverage moves like Sucker Punch, which obviously would be good again for Psychic types. Iron Head, which would be good for fairies that resist the the fighting type stab. Gunk Shot as well for fairies, and then Zen Headbutt to hit potential like poison types, right? So like Cinderace has all the coverage it needs to kind of deal with the straight up easy counters. Like, okay, I'm gonna run, you know, a fairy type to counter its fighting type moves, but then it's gonna have Gunk Shot, right? So like, I think that something along these lines is what we're gonna see, right? Your Pyro Ball, your High Jump Kick, probably your Iron Head or Gunk Shot, and then maybe like Sucker Punch, U-Turn, Zen Headbutt. Somewhere in there is probably where we're gonna land in terms of its offensive move pool. It does have some other supporty like options like Sunny Day and stuff, but I'm not really too concerned about those things. I think it's more about being able to take the onslaught from Cinderace, keep your team healed up, using those cheers effectively, and ultimately being able to just deal enough damage. Generally with these raids, the strategy does come down to simply setting up and just kind of blowing it back really quickly. But we've got a couple different ideas here that we're going to bring to the table from scouring the internet. We've got Hoodlum Callum, Austin John Plays, a handful of other creators kind of chiming in on this. And until the raid actually happens, it's going to be a little tough to know exactly the best strategy, but I think we can get you in the right path. So the first idea, this is actually posted a couple weeks ago, and I remember seeing this and I was like, oh, that's a cool idea. So it was Hoodlum Callum posting from Reunicuddles. It is a build of Espathra, which is a really cool Pokemon that has a signature move called Lumina Crash. And the reason why Lumina Crash is super good is because Lumina Crash is an 80 base power move that's going to drop their special defense. So like every time you use it, they're getting weaker and weaker, and you're just dealing more damage. And this particular Espathra also has Opportunist, so it's going to be stealing, I believe that steals boost. He was running it with Shell Bell. You could also consider something like Metronome to increase your damage output. But in this case, you're going to be wanting to run Reflect. I don't think you need Light Screen. This was more of a general build. Roost is really cool here. but you can just spam Lumina Crash. Like, you can legitimately just spam Lumina Crash over and over again against Cinderace, and I'm gonna make the assumption that it's gonna really struggle to be able to do a whole lot to you, right? Like, even with something like a Sucker Punch, you're probably still gonna be able to deal a lot of damage. The Shell Bell's nice because you're gonna recover off of that as well. So I think like spamming his Pathra could be really good. The one kind of caveat to that is if the Cinderace opens up Sucker Punch, Libero's into Dark type, and then it's Dark type the rest of the fight. That would be the only instance where like this would be really, really bad. I do think there's a world where setting up Psychic Terrain makes a lot of sense in these fights. Obviously, you're considering like, what do I bring as a single person? I generally like say, you know what, I'm gonna build a support type set because having support, generally most people wanna have like the strongest thing. So by building support yourself, you're kind of giving yourself the best chance to kind of work with a team. So I think Espathra is definitely like a really good starting point for what you wanna build. Some other ideas people have floated out there, Azumarill, obviously with Belly Drum. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not sold on Azumarill for this one. I think that there's gonna be better options. If you already have Azumarill built for Charizard, it might be worth just giving it a go, seeing if you can pull off a you know, a Belly Drum into Play Rough or something like that to be able to sweep and deal enough damage. I'm not sure if that kind of damage calculation bug has been fixed. Some other ideas though, Armor Rouge with Flash Fire looks really dope, right? You've got this Pokemon that's Fire and Psychic. You can set up Psychic Terrain, you can fire off Expanding Forces, you can set up your own Reflect to reduce the damage coming in. So there's a lot of options with Armor Rouge that allows them to deal a lot of damage. And again, gonna be able to resist most of those attacks being Fire and Psychic. So that's really good. You're immune to the fire, you might even get boosts off of it. There's a lot of benefits to Armor Rouge, and Ceruledge has a similar functionality here as well, right? You've got a Pokemon that can have Flash Fire, you've got Swords Dance to boost your own attack, you've got Psycho Cut to hit super effectively, but even more so, Bitter Blade could be really good here to recover up that health, to add that sustainability, because having sustainability in these battles is really the key, right? Like, you really just need to kind of deal enough damage and outlast, and I think something like a Ceruledge is something that I would most certainly look at in this context here. You could also run like a Metronome on it as well, right? Give you that kind of extra power, which ultimately results in extra healing when it comes to using moves like Bitter Blade. I do think Reflect is really valuable here though, right? Like reducing that damage output from Cinderace on turn one, something like a Grimmsnarl can put that out there with the Prankster. That's always dope. You know, you have those different options. Another thing to mention here would be like a Slowbro or a Slowking, right? These are Pokemon that have the ability to heal themselves up. They have the ability to heal their allies up with Heal Pulse. And they have a move called Chilling Water, which can drop the attack stat of the Cinderace as you're kind of going through this battle, right? As you're going through these motions of trying to take this thing down, you could be kind of weakening it in the process with something like a Slowbro, Slowking. Might be a little on the slow side, right? Like they might be a little on the lacking side from a support perspective, but they may also be exactly what the doctor ordered on this one, being able to, like I said, provide that team support, healing things up, and just ultimately keeping things up. So I think like when you go into this, there's a few things to keep in mind. Again, Cinderace's big coverage is going to be the biggest thing, but I think if you're able to set up Reflect, I think if you're able to weaken its defenses with something like an Espathra, going for that Lumina Crash, or you can just set up yourself with Swords Dances or whatever with Ceruledge, I know it's going to clear those boosts eventually, which is why I like the Espathra strategy a lot, because you just like spam it, weaken it, and if everyone's doing that, like, you're gonna chunk it pretty quickly, I would think, with Espathra. You just want to bulk it up, right? Like, you just want to be like really physically defensive. You really want to have someone setting up that Reflect, I think. I think Psychic Terrain may end up being really clutch here because of Sucker Punch. That would be the biggest thing, because that's going to be its primary way to hit those Psychic types. U-Turn is another one, so keep an eye out on that. Those are the two main ways it would hit those Psychic types. I'm sure it's going to have one of those coverage moves. The Fairy types are going to be in trouble. I think Gunk Shot Iron Head is going to cause problems. I think if you're bringing a bulky poison type, you're asking to get Zen Headbutt, or you're just going to get blown back by really hard hitting for Pyro Balls, right? Like, this thing may just set up Sunny Day and just go to town with Pyro Balls. So some simple ideas out there. I'm sure you guys will be good to go. If you have any suggestions or any ideas that you want to try, leave them in the comment section below, and feel free to engage with each other on different ideas or different things. I just wanted to give you guys a baseline so you can get started, and you'll be ready for the Cinderace raid tomorrow. If you're looking for more content to watch, you should definitely check out this video right here of the top Pokemon rated for Paldea Scarlet and Violet. It's actually really interesting. The #1 Pokemon might just surprise you. Thanks for watching.